but the spotlight dim. Many clicking past ain't feeling his hymn. Waiting for the moment, blow up like a piston. Haters gonna hate, but persistence gonna glisten. Hold tight, 20 turn to 100 someday. Laugh in their face, shouting, who wants some pay? on the Papa Show.
What up, 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 what up? Always makes my beard look asymmetrical. And it's not. There's beard here in this invisible spot. It's just for some reason the light doesn't catch it in the same way. What up, Twitch? What up, Cosmic? What up, Larry? What up, Bark Eater J? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in Machetterino? It's your boy. Lying is OP. This is what I'm being taught. Lying is OP. So apparently lying is on the table. You can just go ahead and fabricate shit and that's cool. Because as long as people agree with you, it doesn't fucking matter. So all right. Who wants to do some news? I mean, Larry, I'm just going by I learned by demonstration, right? That's what it is. I learned by demonstration. And you may be correct. You may be correct. I think the key is not necessarily the demographic. It's lying is OP like when people either agree with you or you don't care. So, unfortunately, being someone who actually gives a shit, I have to verify and qualify and everything else. If I was one of the other people, then I could have just said, no, Larry, lying is OP and you can lie whenever you want. Then it's true. And then if you run into information that disagrees with you, you just go like this. Just hand wave it. I wouldn't use that word, Cosmic. All right. We're going to start off with an opinion piece in The Guardian. The trouble with AI art isn't just a lack of originality, it's something far bigger. When artwork is invented by a machine, right? So right here is indicating something that is in fact not the case. The artwork is not invented by a machine. That's not what happens. Because literally, again, we can go here's my Leonardo account that I haven't logged into in some time. See if I'm still logged in. I am. Okay. And go to my library. These are the images that I used Leonardo to create X amount of time ago, whenever that was. I did it on stream. And strangely enough, there's no additional. I mean, fair, Ghost. You should not trust me. You should not trust me. I'm addicted to AI. I am evil. I'm probably a fascist or a fascist apologist at this point in time. So just you should
You'll be back like before.
I will fight the fight and win the war. Dojo. 6 months, homie. Thank you very much. What up, Dojo? What up, Digital? Glow is the evil, right? Like, that's where we're at. That's where we're at, you know? In spite of the fact that the AI is not inventing anything that I don't actually interact with, like, I have to prompt. Like, the very act of prompting would indicate that there's an intent, you know? Being unashamed in the face of public shaming is OP. Y'all are the wind beneath my wings, right? Because like, see, I'm, as someone who has dealt with, like, the black dog, right? The depression, right? Like, I am aware, I am self-aware of a lot of stuff that happens in my brain box when this shit jumps off, right? Like, so, like, I am constantly aware of that, so that when I see certain indicators, I, like, can talk to myself and turn myself away from that. And when last night and this morning, there was that voice, right? The voice in my head telling me, you should just quit. You should just wrap it. Just delete your channel. Just delete your Discord. Delete your Twitter and your blue. You can just the fuck appear, and just go the fuck away, right? And just not deal with this shit anymore. And I thought of people like y'all in chat. I thought of people like Pharaoh, Old Lobster, people who value what we do here and everything else. And that is my shield against those kind of thoughts. It's y'all, right? If it was just me, right? If it was just me streaming to, like, a couple of bots or whatever, that there would be no channel. I would just call it a day. Again, Larry, I'm not going to call out. Well, that's why I didn't mention you, Ghost. I know that Ghost is not here for me. Ghost is here for Stampy and to make fun of my addiction to AI. You know, like, I'm not calling out anyone in particular. If you know, you know, and if you don't, you don't. All I'm saying is that lying is OP, and I'm fucking disappointed and, like, almost angry about the entire situation. But it doesn't fucking matter, because the person in question is literally immune to any counter argument. So fuck it. We drive on. When artwork is invented by a machine, it loses its most important power to help people connect in an already lonely era that's particularly dangerous. The artificial intelligence giant, intelligence giant OpenAI recently announced that its ChatGPT platform now provides free image generation, prompting an online flood of images imitating the styles of animator Hayao Miyazaki and other well-known artists. This has been heralded as the next step in the death of art and artists, joining the impending death or zombification of the writer, as AI-generated novels are slated to flood the market. So I'm gonna say something fucking hyperbolic as fuck right now. There is a certain political leaning that does a thing where the enemy is both strong and weak, right? Right? You're all familiar with what I'm talking about, or most of you are, okay? So, on one hand, AI art, air quotes, is slop. It's garbage. It's not good. Nobody wants it. It's ugly. Everyone hates it. It's soulless. And on the other hand, it somehow is capable of destroying both the writer and the artist. The enemy is both strong and weak. But a peculiar feeling, or rather lack thereof, arises when trying to engage with AI art objects. It's not simply that AI lacks originality. After all, we're not doing the all art is derivative argument again. After all, so too does most human art. There we go. Okay, never mind. My bad. My bad. Just push play on the video, bro. Just put the fries in the bag, bro. It was pretty hyperbolic. I understood, and I called it out. I called it out before I said it. I'm just saying. From a distance, similar, maybe something to think about at least. Make sure, check yourself before you wreck yourself and all that. It's not simply that AI lacks originality. After all, so too does most human art. The problem runs far deeper. The essence of art is lost in the process of its machine invention, and with it, the very possibility of a democratic society is put under threat. And again, like for the umpteenth time, art cannot, physically cannot. There is no universe in which art can be threatened by anything as long as a person has a pencil and a piece of paper. You can create art, and as long as you have one other person that you can show it to, then an art appreciator is born. I think they would argue that AI art is terrible, but capitalist interest will call it good enough and push it for money-saving reasons. And that's product, right? Again, for the umpteenth time. That's product. And they can, because they have. Right? One of the points brought up in the fucking AI Wars video was how, like, people talking about the soulless Coca-Cola commercial. Like, what the actual fuck, bro? I would like to compare the release of AI art to the bursting of a giant dam. Okay. From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance. From a distance. Philosophers note art can't be the revolution, but it preserves it. And as my one of my favorite, I'm not going to rank my favorite sociologists on Twitch or Twitch adjacent or formerly on Twitch, but as one of my favorite sociologists told me, is that every revolution creates a counter revolution, right? The very creation of AI art creates the counter revolution of human created art, right? We have watched on this fucking channel people do stuff to mimic the AI created stuff, and it's amazing, right? I'm not saying it's good, right? That is subjective. I'm saying it's amazing. I am amazed at the creativity of people that exists, and how you can take how the videos of AI back like a year and a half ago, super, flowy and blobby and weird shit would happen if you turn the camera, and watching people recreate that in their living room is fucking amazing. I didn't like the NPC TikTokers trend, but that's I just put it in the column. There is stuff I like and stuff that's not for me, and that's it. Just went over there, right? Because obviously people were tuning in for it. And I am not here. I was not put on this fucking earth to decide whether or not someone should be allowed to enjoy something. art might not be threatened, sure, but the revenue, again, that's product. It's not art. Like the art exists outside of product. When you are creating art to sell, that's product. You're creating product, and you are subject to all of the market fucking variables that are related to product. Problem is that if AI slop floods the market, okay, product for the fucking umpteenth time today. Art, product. Do we understand the difference? Ice cream's so good. Yes, 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 yes. Gang, gang. Ice cream's so good, right? There is art and there is product. Okay? If your counter to me talking about AI slop and art and everything else is to say something market, you're talking about product. Right? Do we understand? Art is a defining human endeavor. Okay, that is fair, Dojo. We understand the difference, but we don't understand your point. Art isn't threatened when artists' ability to sustain a living. It is, but that's an issue of capitalism, right? It shouldn't be required that people create product in order to live. It shouldn't be required that people create product in order to continue to make art. And if your problem is with that thing, then your problem is with capitalism. And you need to address the problem of capitalism. And if you want to address the problem of capitalism, then that requires a multifaceted, multi-pronged approach in order to make that happen. And ultimately, that includes influencing the people who control the levers of power. And the only way to do that is to have people who control the levels of power who are capable I got 10 prongs. I don't know what you're talking about, Dojo. In order to influence the levers, the people who control the levers of power, they have to be influenceable. Right? What up, Ribbons? If you are going to try and like use political will other than by completely overthrowing the system and replacing the existing people in the levers of power with your own people with the levers of power, which is fine. People have done it throughout history, but you're not ready for that. Art is a defining human endeavor, not just for those those formerly called artists, but for everyone. You can't handle the truth. It is not merely about arranging colors, forms, sounds, or words into pleasing products. The essence of art inheres in its meaning, in its making, the belief that in the act of creating art, one imbues an object with something ineffable from within one's own being. This is the inevitable thing. I feel like we're going to touch on some magic human theory, but that's fine. A lot of people who believe in magic human theory. This belief in turn allows for another person to project their own sense of themselves onto the work, and in doing so, to commune with the artist at a level words cannot access. The act of communing with the art is irrespective of the artist. It can, some people do, we've talked about this on numerous occasions. Some people care about process. Some people care about how some artist spent all his time learning to remove the brushstrokes from his painting, and therefore, like this red canvas is actually like super interesting for them. For other people, when you look at it, it's just a red canvas. And it's not like you can appreciate it if you just other thing. If you don't care about other thing, then it doesn't matter that other thing occurred. What up, Kiddio? Where the fuck was I? Making commuting access. What grants art its infinite value is not the art object itself, but rather what it allows by representing human experience in a singular being behind it. Okay, so this argument, this statement, this portion of this statement says fuck you to collaborative work. Right? Because it might not be a singular being behind it. I've seen artworks created by people with groups, right? Especially the people who build stuff like the machine that was scraping its own blood back into itself to try and like stay alive, kind of thing. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Do you not know what I'm talking about? See how good the, yeah. No. It's quiet, but there's not much. It's just noise. This is an art piece. And it's two people, Sun Yuan and Peng Yu's Can't Help Myself. And eventually it ran until the robot died. Like it was a whole thing. And this is art. Right? I do too. I love kinetic art. I love the artifice of human beings and the strange and interesting things that they can create. But again, not a singular being. The way it is imagined to carry traces of an artist's interiority, their unique feeling of being in the world. The process of making art is an act of transmission. No, it is not. The act of making art is a relationship between yourself and the work. You can include transmission in it. You can apply like naming the work and providing a context and giving people additional background information and talking about your process and everything else. You can put additional stuff in there. Oh, it was art, Cosmic. It doesn't matter if it was a robot following its program. What was being said is the greater thing around it, not just the thing. But art is the relationship between the artist and the work. I will die on that fucking hill. It offers some unspeakable truth of oneself to another. In turn, the viewer finds in the artwork a reflection of their own inner sense, their inarticulable fears and desires. Art is a means of probing the gap between and within human beings through a shared but indirect language. It can be. It can be other things. But art also connects audiences with each other. When two strangers are struck by a work of art and each invested with a sense of their own innermost being, this is the act of being a viewer of art, right? And yes, Dojo. What up, Reed? This is the act of being a viewer of art, which is separate from the work of the creation of art. These are two separate things, perhaps involving trauma, memory, or impossible desires, right? Like, have you ever seen a piece of art that you have engaged with and it moved you in some deep, meaningful way? And then you find out the behind the scenes of the art, what the artist's intent was, the background behind the art, and it has no relation to what you put into the art. When two strangers are struck by a work of art and each invest it with a sense of their innermost being, I am saying art is subjective. I'm saying that art is subjective and that people stand like on that hill, right? Like that is the thing. I will blaspheme heresy. Call me a heretic, Ghost. I wear that badge with pride. Perhaps involving trauma, memory, or impossible desires. They relate to one another at a level of intimacy and vulnerability that is otherwise inaccessible. They only relate to each other if they communicate this. The artist and the artwork function as a mediator. No, the artwork functions as a mediator. The artist created that which functions as a mediator, but the artist does not do that. I understand, Cosmic, but this is... If people would shut their fucking mouths about things that they don't fucking understand, then I wouldn't have to do it. And art is like this. And no one in art is going to shut their fucking mouth about shit. That's how art works. This goes back fucking probably probably shortly after the first artist, right? As the first dude or dudette or whatever threw their hand painting up on the wall of the cave, Grog was right there behind them saying, well, that's not real art. Their name was Art, right? Art painted the first thing on the wall, and Critic was right behind him to tell him it's not real art. The artist and the artwork function as a mediator, allowing for connection with others not simply as consumers, but as fellow beings who, like each of us, feel themselves to be more than they can ever express. Fair. It's why we watch films with lovers, paint murals with neighbors, or read novels alone on rainy weekends. The loss of this connectedness has profound consequences not only for our relationships, but also for the broader social and political fabric. So this is talking about alienation, and the loss of connection is a huge issue for alienation. You know what the problem with connectedness is, and why we get alienation? This fucking dead German wrote a book, and he talked about it in there. Democratic ethos depends on these ties, the recognition that precisely because of our differences, rather than in spite of them, we share fundamental aspects of being. Without shared experience that affirms and protects difference, the ties that hold democratic life together begin to fray. In their place emerge homogenizing substitutes, tribalism, homo and transphobia, authoritarianism, fascist fantasies that promise belonging through exclusion, hatred, and violence. Fair. No disputing this paragraph. AI-generated images, music, and prose disrupt the aesthetic dynamic upon which democracy depends. They do not. When people talk about, and fucking multiple people have talked about this, right? And we've never watched their videos, and I don't know that we ever will. Have talked about how fascists and authoritarians love AI art. And they are referring to a very particular kind of AI art. They are referring to the thing looks like thing kind of AI art. It's the exact same art critique they leverage at human beings. Fascists and authoritarians like art that looks like the thing that it is supposed to represent. Is it a painting of a house? It should look like a house. Is it a painting of some shit on a table? It should look like the shit on the table, right? Not shit, but apples and vases and flowers and that. And it should look exactly like that. And the closer you can get your art to look like the thing, then the better the art that it is. The idea of fine art and the exclusion of things like abstract art. That's what they're talking about. I know that's what they're talking about because that's what they show. They show a picture of Trump as big, strong man with sword or fuck all, or Elon as like, righteous leader holding the flag or any of that kind of crap. It's a very particular kind of art. And if you're actually going to do art analysis, you should be able to know the difference. Because you can create other things with AI that don't necessarily, like, even as much as this is not a full glass of wine, remember this whole thing? This thing in and of itself is interesting. This is me attempting to recreate an image that I can only find in the annals of my mind. Right? Yes, exactly, Walking Stick Library. Right? Like I saw this painting and I have been trying to find it on the internet and I can't find it on the fucking internet. And I have been trying to recreate it and I can't fucking recreate it. Right? Like, look at this. This is abstract as fuck. But the same prompt that produced that produced this this Maple Takes looking motherfucker here. Shout out Maple Takes. Here's another abstract piece of art. Right? This is a DJ, a bearded DJ, and you can see it if you look. You can see what was intended if you look. What up, Textilian? Disrupt the aesthetic dynamic upon which democracy depends. Upon which democracy depends. I love that. I have absolutely no idea what it means, but it's a lovely sentence. It's no. We love Maple Takes. Now, I could express the idea that, I don't know, there are certain other people out there And the entire grift on which they function is to say a bunch of words in a row that sound profound, but then when you actually sit back and try to analyze the meaning of them, it is challenging, if not impossible, to do so. And that's part of the intent of it. Got you. I just don't want like, I mean, read. I can do a decent Kyle impression if you know who Kyle is from Redolence. AI generated images, music, and prose disrupt the aesthetic dynamic upon which democracy depends. The machine does not desire, does not live in a body that imposes discomforts and misrecognitions, does not press against the limits of its own interiority. The work produced by machines is, in an important sense, uninhabited. Okay, so is this all work that is produced by machines? I wonder what Holmes is analysis of like digital art is. Are they a fan of digital art, or do they disagree with it? Do they not like the fact that I can capture an image with my phone, or are they only a person who appreciates developed photography, or fuck all, do they only produce or do they only appreciate the painted canvas? At what level does the machine not interfere with the production of the work? There is no self, rather, no being struggling and perpetually failing to be the ideal self it believes it should be within the machine, and so there can be no transference or community with the other at the level of being. These are indeed words. I love this. I love the idea that this article was actually written by an AI. Meta leveling. The intent of the article is simply to reduce Globus's productivity. I mean, it is definitely reducing my productivity because this is probably the only thing that we're going to get to today. So, shout out Eric Reinhardt, his production of art in whatever fashion you want to refer to it as, and my production of whatever it is I'm doing here. What remains is a kind of spectral mimicry, a simulacrum that may deceive the eye but not the soul. There it is. There's the humix. Gotta have that humix. Or perhaps the problem is that, under the alienating conditions of contemporary capitalism, it does deceive our increasingly fragile souls, causing them to wither by taking on the lifelessness of the machine as if interchangeable with our deepest truth. And clean your room. Machines are things that make other things. Okay. Under their expanding influence, we too risk becoming nothing more than another thing, a process of thingification by which we forget what it feels like to be human and to connect not just as employees, workers, consumers, or citizens, but as beings capable of feeling and being felt in return. I want the robots to clean my room too. The Dragon of Chaos is just a lifeless machine. Walter Benjamin, I don't know Walter Benjamin, so I reserve judgment on Walter Benjamin, in his 1935 Saussure essay, The Work of Art in the Age of Technological Reproducibility, warned that fascism aestheticizes politics. Slow down, just read the words on the page, bro. Aestheticizes politics, offering the masses the illusion of expression while stripping them of material power. AI art functions in a parallel way. It offers the appearance of freedom and abundance while further consolidating control in the hands of those who own the means of production, not only of goods, but increasingly also of culture. This is culture as product, right? I wonder how this person understands punk rock. But increasingly also of culture, imagination, and language. AI is not democratizing art and knowledge. It is privatizing and automating it under the control of billionaires who, like the personality cults enforced by the Führers of Benjamin's era, demand that we view them as geniuses to whom we owe deference. You don't have to. You literally don't have to do that. They can demand whatever they want, right? I talk about Altman all the time. I talk about Elon all the time. I talk about Jeffy all the time. The author's reading of Benjamin is not quite on. It's pretty off, actually. Well, I thank you, Ghost. Again, as someone who has not experienced Walter Benjamin, I don't know. So I will rely on your superior knowledge within this domain. Is there anything in particular that you feel that is being missed here that you would like to expand on? If not, it's quite all right. Thank you. Benjamin was more concerned with mass-produced, top-down art outpacing authentically produced art. He was also worried that the aura of a work of art would be lost as it's reproduced, i.e. the Mona Lisa. Got you. So it is a similar argument in that the point, at least from the point of view of the author who's writing this article, Reinhardt, they are indicating that same kind of thing, that these artistic works are being produced like at the top and consolidating wealth in the tech bro billionaires, which is outpacing authentically produced art. And yes, I would say just on a 1-for-1 basis, that's absolutely true, right? I don't know that actually matters. It's parallel and is probably splitting hairs a bit, but there's a lot of other people they could have cited, but went with the weird choice of Benjamin. It's not a weird choice when you look at the greater framing, right? Is that he wrote an essay in 1935, The Work of Art in the Age of Technological Reproducibility, that allows the writer of this article to then correlate the current situation with the Führers of Benjamin's era. This is a choice, right? Like, this is an intentional choice. Why they chose Walter Benjamin, because of this and because of this happening at the time of this, right? So from an argument standpoint, this is a logical progression. Now, the second part of that, where Benjamin was also worried about the aura of a work of art would be lost as it's reproduced, I don't like that. Is, I don't know, that seems like idolatry. Like, idolatry seems a weird word to use here. But like the imbuing of a particular instance of a thing with more than actually might exist within the thing in and of itself, right? And again, your opinions of the Mona Lisa are going to vary depending on who you are and your perception of the Mona Lisa, right? I don't think anything is lost by having a poster of the Mona Lisa in your house if you enjoy the Mona Lisa. If we can only have one Mona Lisa and it must exist in this other place, then, like, doesn't that separate people from the art? Imagine if there was no reproduced art. You will have never seen the Mona Lisa, right? There's no images of it on the internet. There's no images of it in people's houses. You literally have to go to fucking France in order to see it. And I understand that argument, Ghost. I just completely disagree with it. I think it's absolutely the worst thing that you can do to art is to wall it up behind paywalls. Functionally, that's what that is. Right, and you used an interesting turn of phrase, almost holy quality. Is like you're making a pilgrimage to the art, which is like, you know, the more adjacent you get to religion, the weirder things get for me. Elon Musk, whose apparent public flirtations with Nazi ideology have become increasingly overt, exemplifies this dynamic. His AI ventures, like those of other tech billionaires, aim not at expanding human creativity, but enclosing it within profit-driven, automated systems designed to concentrate power. Agreed, which is why Elon Musk should be opposed. Done. They write this as if art is not already commodified and exclusive before AI came around. I mean, yes, right? But it is to steelman my opposition's argument, because that's what people should do and not just make up shit. To steelman my opponent's argument, you can still reference a previous point at which things possibly were better, right? Like that we need to get away from the commodification of art and return it to some kind of, I don't know, ideal previous state that might have existed in some long ago time. Make art great again. For instance, since the Mustang xAI released its Grok chatbot and paired it with the deluge of AI generated content across X, the effect has not been to foster creativity, but to drown out dissent. Oh, we should definitely not drown out dissent, right? We shouldn't shout down people who disagree with us, right? We don't want to drown out dissent. We want to actually talk about the thing and educate people to help bring them over to our position, not just yell at them until they go away, right? Amplify mimicry and disseminate Musk's preferred political content. And as we've seen at other major AI companies such ASL, what up, Jenny Birds? Such as Stability such as Stability AI, Midjourney, and DeviantArt, users and artists report that their personal content and work are being scraped without their consent to train all these AI models. The result is that artificial abundance suffocates human expression and connection rather than expanding or freeing it. No, it cannot. It cannot. Can't do that. It cannot. Globus ruled 347. As you become closer to religion, you become weirder and weirder. Also, fuck capitalism. True. Larry? Larry? Baby? The result is that artificial abundance. Oh, we did that. Just as fascism turns the masses into spectators of their own subjugation, AI art transforms us from creative participants into passive consumers of algorithmic spectacle. Did you ever read an article or any? Did you ever see a movie or a TV show, and you know that the very first thought, the thing around which the entire artifice was created, was like this one line, right? They thought up a really clever line and then built everything off of that really clever line. I want to say that this is it, right? Just as fascism turns the masses into spectators of their own subjugation, AI art transforms us from creative participants into passive consumers of algorithmic spectacle, all while falsely persuading us we've been empowered. The implications of this process for humanity and our political future could not be greater. The philosopher Immanuel Kant described the encounter with beauty, whether in art or nature, as a vital force that animates human perception, desire, and community. Beauty, Kant argues, cannot be captured by words or concepts. It cannot be explained, only felt. Fair. Excuse me. Oh, and that's the thing, Larry. To a certain group of people, they did cook. What we feel in the encounter with beauty, then, is a breakdown of our capacities for understanding and representation, and the emergence of their place of a feeling of life itself that defines our very being. This feeling pushes us to seek out others with whom we can share this sense of ourselves as as absolutely unique individuals who, like beauty, cannot be reduced to any possible representation or identity. By doing so, beauty provides an experience by which we can connect with one another in and through our differences rather than in spite of them. Kant calls this shared experience of beauty the sensus communis. It is what makes art a fundamentally social and political force. I generally agree with what's being stated here. What up, Minnie? I'm on a tirade. It's also what makes art essential for resisting our own thingification today, and why AI art constitute, as Miyazaki puts it, an insult to life itself. And there we go where I disagree, because again, it's a tool by which you can express that beauty, all these other words that you use to describe, you can use the tool to do so. Art both creates and relies on a community of feeling, an unspoken understanding between people who may otherwise be separated by time, geography, or circumstance. I don't know that that's correct. The understanding part. I would not have made this argument. But he has to. The idea again is that art, the perception of art is personal, right? It's not a community, like it's a community of feeling. I'll give you that. But everyone is
We are the board. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile.
What up, Doc? What up, Raiders? What up, Holistic Field? What up, the Michael Thing? What up? Can I just go with absentia? Because I'm bad at Mexican pronunciations of the X. I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI automation. Abby, thank you. Appreciate you. I talk about AI automation, future tech, and shit like that. And occasionally, I will talk about art. And that's what we've been doing for the past hour here, as I have been raging against this article about why AI art is not art and is actually a tool of the fascists. I do apologize that you're coming in towards the end of the experience. Here is the article. The VOD will be up after if you want to get my my takes on the entire thing. I find this author questionable. I remember endlessly arguing with my boyfriend that most cultures did not create perfectly representative art. Right. The original art, the first art, the only real art that we have, right? Everything else is a pale imitation of the real art, right? Was not it was not perfectly representational. What up, Matt? It is art, though. It takes skill to create what you want to. It's like saying it's not art because you use a printer. Yeah, no, like this person, we did a whole thing where we had to go back and touch on this robot. Because the definition provided in the article of what art is excludes that robot on two different levels. One, because the art itself is being produced by the machine. The other is that it's not being produced by a singular artist, but rather a collaborative effort. And this is what art does, and this is what art should do. Art should promote debate. Art should promote conversation. We should be arguing at almost all times what even is art. I'm down with that. I am absolutely down with that. But to exclude something just because you don't like it is it wasn't produced by the machine. It was produced by a person and automated with the machine. I'm with you, Matt. Art should be fucking provocative. If it's not provocative, it's probably representative and perfectly representative. And even then, that's provocative. God, I love art. Art, the creative feeling. This has led the famed political theorists of authoritarianism, Hannah Arendt and Elaine Scarry, after her, to identify Kant's sensus communis and the cultivation of an openness to beauty as foundational to the possibility of democratic political life, and also fundamental to effective opposition to fascism. AI art cannot participate in this tradition. In fact, it militates against it. My issue is not with the AI art itself. It is with the way the AI is trained on from people's artistic talent. There was a more, what's the word? I haven't slept. Reputable way to train them. I think it wouldn't be such an issue. On one hand, like I understand there are many people in this community who feel the same way. Right? This is not necessary to the new people. This is not necessarily a community where you have to think that AI art or even AI in general is a good thing. That is irrelevant to me, right? Like what is relevant to me is that you understand what it is, what it does, what it actually is, what its capabilities are. You prepare yourself. And if possible, I would like you to interact with the AI tools so that differing opinions and points of view are contained within the data sets for future training, like all of that kind of stuff, right? But fundamentally, most important, I want people.
No, they didn't have a chance.
They were mean to robots and then robots killed them.
Right? Like it's, ultimately, I think that most people's critiques of AI art is, sorry, we don't use the LUL emote here. Just FYI. The, most people's critiques are actually a critique of capitalism. And I'm on board with that. right? I think that if we lived in a world with like, a universal services, resource distribution, whatever you want to call it, right? Like whatever it's the thing. If we lived in that world with better resource distribution, then there would be less of an issue, right? I am sympathetic and empathetic to people who lose their jobs to automation in whatever fashion that occurs across the board, right? Like I'm sympathetic and empathetic to anyone who loses a job because it's rough out here, right? If you don't have a job, you probably don't have health care, depending on the state you live in. And if you don't have health care, your quality of life goes right in the shitter. Right? And that to me is fundamentally offensive. But that's not an AI issue. That's a capitalism issue. I think the only problem with training on people's talent is that under capitalism, the person's talent becomes less profitable. Yes. Yeah, yes. Right? As AI art becomes ubiquitous, we are at a crossroads. Soul diminishing substitutes for art, which reduce it to mere objects while erasing us as human subjects, threaten to destroy the social relations that real art sustains. Alternatively, they could spur us to reclaim art and aesthetic sensibility from their erosion under capitalism and to refuse the billionaire control production of artificial culture. Just make your argument this, because I'm with you. I will stand on that fucking barricade with you, homie. Right? It's the artificial culture that's the problem. Right? They create artificial culture. Our response is real culture. The counter to that artificial culture. Punk rock, which drew on the idea that all this music being controlled by the music industry and being like normalized and homogenized and like overproduced and everything else, and it was a raw sound, and anyone who could pick up a guitar could enter into that, right? You didn't have to sing well. You didn't have to play well. You could do like 2 chords, right? Like, I hate the Queen, right? Like it's punk rock, man. To do so, we must reject the temptation. Do not become addicted to the water, my friend. We must reject the temptation to turn to machines for art and language, and also, as people such as Mark Zuckerberg have been trying to entice us to do, for friendship, psychotherapy, wisdom, or critical thought. We must refuse to entwine our deepest sense of ourselves with illusory objects that exploit rather than enrich us. Yeah. No, Abby, again, this is mine. I made this, right? This is my art. And it's can be difficult to see, but it's like the entire point behind this art is that it's commercialism stickers, right? Like every, there's a like button, there's the YouTube, there's Supreme, all that kind of shit, right? And then, and then I spray painted my hand over it, and it's called Future Primitives, and like this is my art. You know what I mean? And that's where like I would make art and I would put it on Etsy, and I had a nice Etsy store, and then they started twisting their whole thing is like, oh, if you want to be on the front page and get supported, then you need reproducible items. And if you need reproducible items, then that pressures you to go into a particular location as far as what you can do. And also, you have to incorporate shipping into your base price. So if somebody happens to order your shit from like some other place like Canada and it costs you significantly more to ship to them, that's on you, bro. That's your fucking problem, right? What up, Bebop Boop Boop? Completely fell for that kangaroo comfort animal boarding the plane video. I'm getting to a point where my initial reaction to content won't be how funny or aw sad, but will be, is this real? It should be. Unfortunately, and that predates AI, you know, AI art, if you want. You need to, you know, you shields up, red alert, homie. You bring them business, they sell your stuff, make them money, and that's all they care about. And of course, people who mass produce is going to win out 100%. And I get beat out by people who can do that. You know, again, I lost my job to people in a foreign country, right? It was outsourced, but I don't blame them. I blame capitalism. I'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern. If you enjoyed this tirade, you should come back at 5 p.m. Eastern. Or if you like news, I'll be back tomorrow morning. In the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you've forgotten. Always remember the Shoggy loves you. And so do I. Be great.